Hi, boys and girls. We're going to read a story called The Word Collector. This story is about a little boy named Jerome, and he loves to collect words. I want you to think for a second, do you think it's important to know many different kinds of words? If you were thinking that it's important because when you write, it makes your writing more interesting, you would be correct. If you were thinking that it's important to know many different kinds of words because it'll help you understand stories, you would be correct. Authors, they don't like to use boring words either. They like to use interesting, new words. And if they use those, you'll want to know what they mean so you can understand the story. So we'll read this book called The Word Collector. Oh, I hope you see on this title page, so many words on this title page. Many interesting words. Sorry about that. Collectors collect things. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect coins. Others collect rocks. Some collect art. Some collect bugs. Others collect baseball cards. Some people collect comic books. And Jerome, what did he collect? Jerome collected words. He collected words he heard. Certain words caught his attention. My trip to Peru was perfectly pleasant. He collected words he saw. Certain words jumped out at him. Willow Tea Shop. He collected words he read. Certain words popped off the page. Emerald. Short and sweet words like spark, bloom, drift, dream. Two-syllable treats like treasure, motive, whisper, hover. And multi-syllable words that sounded like little songs. Kaleidoscope, guacamole, symphony. There were words he did not know the meaning of at first, but they were marvelous to say. Aromatic, effervescent. There were words whose sounds were perfectly suited to their meaning. Torrential, bellow, molasses. Jerome filled his scrapbooks with more and more of his favorite words. Jerome's collections grew. He began organizing them. Dreamy, science, sad, action, poetic. One day, while transporting them, Jerome slipped and his words went flying. As he began to pick them up, he noticed his collections had become jumbled. Big words next to little words. Sad words next to dreamy words. Jerome began stringing words together. Words he had not imagined being side by side. He used his words to write poems. He used his poems to make songs. They moved, they delighted. Some of his simplest words were his most powerful. I understand. I'm sorry. Thank you. You matter. Jerome eagerly collected more and more of his favorite words. The more words he knew, the more clearly he could share with the world what he was thinking, feeling, and dreaming. One breezy afternoon, Jerome climbed the highest hill, pulling a wagon packed with his word collection. He smiled as he emptied his collection of words into the wind. He saw children in the valley below, scurrying and collecting words from the breeze. Jerome had no words to describe how happy that made him. It says, reach for your own words, tell the world who you are and how you will make it better. Peter Hamilton Reynolds. So as you learned in this story, all those words not only help you to make your writing interesting and to help you read, your stories and understand them, but you could use those words to better explain what you're thinking and how you're feeling. So it's really important that you know many, many different words. And you can get those words by reading books, by talking to people. There's all sorts of ways to learn those new words. We're going to practice going over some words together and thinking about some words that may mean the same thing. So I'm going to write one word down. I'm going to write down the word small. Now, we all know what the word small means, but there are different ways to say small. I could, instead of saying something was small, I could say that something was petite. That also means small. A different way to say it. I have some words over here, and I want you to look for any other words that may mean the same thing as small. A different way to say small. Now I'm looking at some of these words, they're pretty big, so you can use those phonics strategies we talked about and sound them out. So let's look at these. Let's start with this one. Whispered. Or able, horrible. Nasty. You mix an ow sound. Announced. Despicable. Teeny. Awful. Microscopic. And screamed. All right, I want you to think, what other words mean the same thing as small? Now, if you have a paper or a whiteboard, I want you to look at the words I have here, and I want you to quickly write those down for me. What other words do you see that mean the same thing as small? Another way to say it. Let's see. Let's see if you get the same ones I pick out. If something is teeny is another way to say small. That's a good word to collect. Something is teeny, it makes me think it's really, really small, maybe like an ant. The other word that I saw that also meant small was this word here. Microscopic. Now, if you tell me something is small, I might imagine a small dog, something that size. But if you tell me something is microscopic, wow, that is so small I can barely see it. Maybe it's like the size of a tiny little piece of sand. So notice how I know those different words now for small, and it gives me an even clearer image of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's talk about this next word. EA makes that E sound. Mean. There are other ways to say someone was mean. Other words that maybe I'll use to describe how it will make you feel just how mean they actually are. So let's look here. What are some other words that could mean the same thing as mean? If you have your paper or your whiteboard, I want you to look at these words on this side, and I want you to jot those down. I'll give you a minute to do that, and then we'll see if you get the same ones I get. All right, so one that actually I thought of that wasn't over here, someone who is mean, they could also be rotten. They're just not nice at all. I might say that they are just rotten. All right, now let's check to see if you get some of these other words, if you get the same ones that I got. All right, one of the words that I see that means the same thing as mean is awful. If someone is mean, You might instead say that they are just awful. That's a great word to collect. All right. The other one I saw that also means the same thing as mean is this word. Horrible. Horrible. If someone is mean and you instead tell me that they're horrible, I think that they are super mean. That makes me think that they are incredibly mean if you use that word horrible. Another word I saw that means the same thing as mean, I saw this word here. This word, nasty. Ooh, that's another word. If you use the word nasty, I really understand how mean that person was. And I found one last word here. I found this word. Despicable. That's another word that you could collect to tell me if someone is mean. They're despicable. Oh, that means they are incredibly mean. All right, and the last one we're going to do. So these will be easy for you to see which words also mean the same thing. I am going to write down the word talk. So I see this a lot in writings where you say, oh, my person talked. Okay, there's more exciting ways to say that. They could be talking a certain way. Maybe instead of talk, you say they squeaked. So maybe they had kind of like a high-pitched voice when they talked. Maybe that character squeaked. Right? And look at these other words here. I have some other words that could also mean the same thing as talk, and it really helps me understand how they're talking. How about this word here? Announced. Ooh, if you tell me that someone announced something instead of that they talked, that tells me that they were probably speaking in a very loud voice so many people could hear them. But if they're announcing, it wouldn't be like a yelling voice. I can picture announcing because I hear it when maybe Mrs. Fair talks. She announces things. She speaks over people in a loud voice, but it's not a yelling voice. So that word helps me understand too what talking means. All right, now I see this word too. Whispered. Ooh, that's a good word to know. Instead of saying talk, you might tell me that someone whispered. So they wouldn't sound like this. They would sound more like this. Ooh, that creates a much clearer picture of what is happening if you say talk. And then there's this word here too. That EA makes an E sound. Screamed. Ooh, a much nicer word to use for talk if you're trying to describe someone who's maybe in trouble or who's really loud and upset. They might have screamed something. So you could use any of these words in place of small, mean, talk. These give you a clear picture of what you're trying to say. They make your writing sound interesting, and they could help you understand what an author is saying. So you're going to go into your Seesaw account and you're going to find your activity for today. There's going to be some red words and some purple words. You need to read the red words and match the purple words to the red words that mean the same thing. And then I need you to try and figure out some new words to go with the red words on the second page. All right, good luck, guys.